Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you are in the world, and welcome to our Pipeline KnowledgeCast webinar. The topic of today's webinar is Operational Intelligence for Superior Customer Experience in All IP Networks, and will feature frontline insight from experts at Oracle Communications. I'm Jesse Kreiderman, Senior Editor with Pipeline Magazine, and I'll be your moderator today. Now, a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. To change the volume for the webcast, just move the slider within the volume area to the left of the presentation window. We encourage you to submit questions for the speakers, and you can do this at any time by typing your question into the Q&A text area to the left of the presentation window, and then click the Submit button. We will address as many questions as time permits after our presenters' prepared remarks. If you'd like to download a copy of the slides for today's presentation, you can visit the resource list, which can be accessed by clicking on the green folder icon at the bottom of your screen. By clicking on the other icons at the bottom of your screen, you can learn more about today's presenters, gain access to additional resources, or share your participation in today's event with a number of social media outlets such as LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. And if you experience any technical problems during the webcast, you can either submit a question or click on the question mark at the bottom of the page below the presentation window, which will take you to the webcast help guide. Now let's get started. As we've reported in Pipeline Magazine, communications service providers are moving to all IP networks because they simply offer significant advantages over legacy networks, and they enable the providers to rapidly roll out and scale their offerings to meet ever-increasing customer demand. At the same time, customer experience has arisen as the new competitive battleground, and in terms of both negative and positive experiences, consumers are voting with their wallets. So service providers must ensure a superior quality of service. But therein lies the rub. All IP networks present complex challenges compared to traditional circuit switch voice networks, particularly in terms of visibility and assurance. So how can service providers deliver compelling customer experiences as they transition to all IP next generation networks? And then what tools and strategies must they use to monitor and gain the visibility and insight into all IP networks that legacy monitoring systems simply don't provide? Well, today we have experts from Oracle Communications with us to answer these questions. Presenting first is Andrea Canessa, Director of Solutions Marketing for Oracle. Andrea has devised end-to-end software solutions for the communication industry for nearly 2 decades. He's driven the development and productization of Oracle solutions from all angles, including product strategy, product management, and solutions marketing. Next, we'll hear from Renuka Prasad, Product Management Director for Oracle Communications. For more than 15 years, Renuka has focused on network management and monitoring for service provider and enterprise environments for multiple technologies, including carrier Ethernet, SONET, IMS, LTE, and others. Prior to product management, Renuka has served in technical and managerial roles and engineered several carrier-class network management systems. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce our first presenter, Andrea Canessa.
Thank you, Jesse. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today's session. The following is intended to outline our general product direction. It is intended for information purposes only and may not be incorporated into any contract. Everything we plan to speak about on this webinar is in fact generally available and not the subject of future product roadmaps. In today's webinar, you will learn what it takes to deliver engaging purchasing and usage experiences, how to gain operational intelligence in communication networks, why effective monitoring, proactive responses, and higher network visibility are critical to deliver a superior customer experience in all IP networks. We will first take a look at the challenges that service provider faces in the area of customer experience, or CX for short, and why CX needs an holistic approach to be addressed successfully. We will then take a look at what Oracle can offer to improve both the purchasing and the owning experiences. And finally, a summary followed by a Q&A session will close today's webinar. Let's first take a look at 3 major factors that are redefining the importance of customer experience for service providers and how CX need to be addressed. The first key factor affecting every consumer's experience is that the pace of technology innovation is exploding. Today, a tablet is not something you buy at a pharmacy. You most certainly don't need your computer to access the internet. Cloud-based delivery models are revolutionizing the IT landscape. Social is now mainstream, and the millennial generation prefers mobile as the primary channel of internet access. The fast pace of technology innovation challenges service providers with keeping ahead of their competition and running profitable operations. Data growth is exploding, as emphasized by some of the interesting factoids captured in this graphic. Product and service lifecycle can now be as short as months or even weeks, as opposed to years or decades. The second key factor redefining customer experience is the rapid evolution of consumers' behavior. It is not a stretch to say that in the last 5 years, many long-standing behaviors have been transformed, probably forever. The way we chat, the amount and speed of our access to resources, what and how much information we share, who we influence, and who we are influenced by, every single aspect of our daily lives has been impacted. The key is that as consumers around the world, we are adopting these changes coupled with the underlying technological innovation at an unprecedented rate. So fundamental behavior patterns are being transformed on 3 key dimensions. Firstly, we expect to be always on. Every device must be internet-enabled, and whenever and wherever we are, we need to be connected, whether via Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, or whatever other access mechanism. Second, we are always sharing, be it pictures, status updates, comments, thoughts, location information, or anything else. We are always letting others know about ourselves. And lastly, we are always aware about everything that interests us, friends, news, sports, opinions, and the like. The third key factor redefining customer experience is the changes in customer demands and expectations. Because of the rapid innovation in technology, the equally rapid adoption of the new technologies by consumers, and the consequent change in the behavior, consumer expectation for their experiences has changed as well. Consumers are increasingly demanding more from their service provider in terms of what, where, and how they interact with the service provider. Consumers are also increasingly vocal about sharing their thoughts and experiences, especially not so good ones, thereby putting the greater pressure on the service provider to ensure that each interaction with the customer is a positive one. The previous 3 key factors are creating a power shift between customers and service providers. Traditionally, customer behaviors was morphed by service providers through mass media. With today's technology, customers are always one click away from sharing their experiences with social communities, and the implication of a poor individual experience is not just limited to the specific customer and his close circle of friends, but can quickly gain global ramifications. Customers have more power, more choices, and they demand better experiences. The question for service providers is not any longer, should I focus on improving customer experience, but will I survive as a viable market entity if I do not? In a recent study, 93% of U.S. executives said that improving customer experience is one of their 3 top priorities. 98% of the same executives said that they are in the process of developing a formal customer experience initiative. In average, the same executive estimated that 20% of year-over-year revenues will be lost if their company fails to deliver on customer experience initiatives. So the question is, why, in spite of widespread executive support, clear business benefits, and commitment of resources, so many CX transformation initiatives fail to deliver the expected results? What we observed over the years, based on the experiences shared with us by many communication service providers around the world, is that in spite of the expertise and maturity of IT teams, many transformation projects are delayed, stalled, or fail because of heterogeneous landscapes with multiple application stacks and fragmented data and processes, long project timelines that produce scope creep and moving targets, and poor project execution, either internal, from partners, or vendors. The common underlying reason is that a CX transformation project is never a single application problem and needs to be handled from a cross-application point of view. So what a service provider can do to deliver a great customer experience? The first step is to recognize that customers interact with the service provider directly or indirectly over the entire customer lifecycle journey. And that spans across both purchasing experience and usage experience. It is critical for the service provider to deliver a great customer experience across all customer touch points. From the time their customers identify their needs and begin researching about products and services, to the time they make their selection, to the time when they make their purchase, to the time when they receive the product or service, to the time when they finally use it. The expectation and demand the customer has for the service provider vary across various phases of all the life cycle. The goal of a service provider must be to ensure that the customer interaction across all touch points in the infinity loop are positive and to deliver the kind of experience that specific customers want. Let's now take a closer look at what service provider can do to deliver an engaging purchasing experience. Once a service provider recognizes that delivering a truly engaging customer experience can only take place by addressing all customer touch points, they will immediately realize that there are elements of customer interaction in all the key business processes: concept to launch, lead to order to cash, use to charge, and trouble to resolve. They will also realize that there is a multi-channel element in many of these interactions. So any solution that is put in place to address this challenge must first take a holistic view to the problem, then prioritize the key touch points, and finally deliver accordingly. To borrow from a well-known slogan, you may act locally, but you must think globally. In order to help service providers to situate the problem and develop their own specific transformation journeys, Oracle has put together a CX reference architecture blueprint that spans across both the front and back office function. The Oracle CX reference architecture for communication identifies 4 key layers of the architecture that must be addressed to deliver an engaging customer experience. First, the channel interaction layer, which is focused on delivering the channel-specific interface and interaction demanded by your customers. Second, the channel coordination layer, which is focused on enabling a common set of data and services to support a single customer view and enable the delivery of context-sensitive experience as the customer switches between channels for his interactions. Third, the order and revenue management layer, which is focused on ensuring that the customer's requests are serviced efficiently and accurately, and enables rapid time to market for the launch of new offers, bundles, and services. And fourth, the order fulfillment layer, which is focused on fulfilling the customer orders across networks and IT applications by coordinating the set of activities needed to enable use of the service by the customer. Let's take a closer look at the functionalities delivered by these 4 layers. The channel interaction layer is the layer providing front office channel interaction to your customers. Applications supporting classical channels such as web commerce, retail, call center, and partners belong to this layer together with applications supporting newer channels such as mobile or tablet and social. The second layer also belongs to the front office application. This is the layer of channel coordination, providing the common data and the common logic that need to be shared across the various channel applications. Many studies show that in connected societies, customers traverse at least 3 different channels when making a purchase decision. A customer may start his journey by researching online, then go to a shop to have a feeling of the devices, then the day after he starts placing his order on a tablet, then he calls an agent to finalize the order, and finally he picks up the order from the shop. To support this type of scenario, sales catalog data, customer data, order data, and asset data must be mastered across all channels. The channels coordination layer provides mastering for this data and for the common logic used for the decisioning, upselling and cross-selling, and configure pricing and quote functions. In order to provide a consistent and seamless cross-channel experience, it is critical that the common data and logic are shared across the channels. The order and revenue management layer is composed of those back-office applications that directly touch the customer, such as billing and charging system, central order management, and design of commercial offers. Although these are back-office applications, they are critical to deliver an engaging customer experience. If I cannot get the offer I am seeking in a timely manner, it affects my experience. If my order fails and is not processed timely, it affects my experience. If I have no visibility on my order status, it affects my experience. If my bill is wrong, it affects my experience. If I am overcharged, it affects my experience. Finally, the order fulfillment layer covers all those back-office functionality that, although not directly visible to the customer, still impact his experience, such as provisioning, activation, policy management, project management, workforce management, and so on. These systems may be one more step removed from the customer, but they are equally important to deliver an engaging experience with complete and expedite fulfillment of services. So let's see what Oracle has to offer to cover your customers' interaction across all touch points and across all customer life cycles. 3 Oracle solutions provide a comprehensive coverage of all the 4 layers identified in the previous slides. These solutions are the cross-channel customer experience solution, or C3 for short, the rapid offer design and order delivery solution, also known as RODOT, and the rapid service design and order delivery solution, RESDOT for short. The cross-channel customer experience solution enables service providers to increase NPS and customer loyalty and deflect transactions to unassisted channels. This solution covers the channel interaction and channel coordination layers in the CX reference architecture. Several applications are part of this solution, including Oracle Siebel CRM, Web Commerce, former AT&G and Deca, RightNow, Retail, and e-billing. The framework-certified rapid offer design and order delivery solution enables service providers to rapidly design and introduce offers to efficiently and accurately capture and deliver orders and provides visibility across the entire order lifecycle. This solution covers the channel coordination and order and revenue management layers in the CX reference architecture. Applications that are part of these solutions include Oracle Siebel CRM, Order and Service Management, or OSM for short, Product Hub for Communication, Billing and Revenue Management, or BRM for short, and AIA for Communications. Finally, the framework-certified rapid service design and order delivery solution enables service providers to rapidly and efficiently design, launch, and deliver any type of service for any network domain. This solution covers the service fulfillment layer in the CX reference architecture. Applications that are part of this solution includes Oracle OSM, ASAP, UIM, and Design Studio. So as you can see, the combination of C3, RODOT, and RESDOT solution provides service providers with a comprehensive end-to-end footprint for their customer experience transformation. This solution will help service providers improve their gain dramatically across all channels and business processes by leveraging commercial off-the-shelf application and integration accelerators. Together, C3, RODOT, and RESDOT solutions are often referred as concept-to-cash solution or concept-to-cash offering. Their footprint goes all the way from the front office channel to the back office network and facing applications. This large footprint ensures comprehensive coverage for the service provider processes, all the way from creating new commercial offers to fulfilling the services. Oracle Concept-to-Cash footprint is comprehensive, but is also modular. service providers can use just those parts that fit their needs and businesses. For example, service providers that only use self-service and call center as channels and want to reuse the activation and inventory system already in place may benefit from a reduced footprint like the one depicted in this diagram. Finally, Oracle Concept-to-Cash solutions are based on an open architecture that allows service provider and system integrator to extend the solution to third-party and legacy applications. This concludes our discussion around the buying experience and what Oracle can do to help deliver an engaging purchasing experience with its Concept-to-Cash offering. Renuka Prasad from Oracle Acme Package Product Management will now cover the usage experience and how Oracle can help you to deliver a superior experience to your customers in all IP network. Prasad, please take it from here.
Thanks, Andrea. Hello, everyone. My name is Renuka Prasad, and I'm part of the product management team at Oracle. As you noticed, we are back at the infinity loop of the customer experience lifecycle. Up to this point, Andrea mostly covered the red part of the loop, which is the purchasing experience, with the Oracle Concept-to-Cash solutions. So once a customer owns or purchases a service, a customer starts using the service to realize the value of the service and expects an experience equitable to the purchase. So, which is essentially the own part of this infinite loop. So let's dive into the blue part of the loop, the usage experience, and see how some of the Acme packet solutions such as Palladion can help service providers operate an all IP network to deliver superior customer experience. So customers have several touch points with the service provider. To name a few, there are billing, customer support, and the network itself via the services they use. And there are several others. The network plays a very important part in the service delivery chain. As you see in the chart on the right-hand side, the key factors to customer churn, to name a few examples, are bad voice quality or bad reliability of the service, and others. Speaking more broadly, the network is really at the heart of service delivery, and it is responsible for all these major aspects of service delivery, such as availability of service, reliability of service, and the quality of service. These have a significant impact on the CX if not delivered properly. Let's take an example of availability. The ability to reach a called party, uninterrupted call or call drops, or if the quality of service, for example, if it's garbled voice, echo in the voice, those types of aspects really hurt customer experience. Clearly, these types of network behaviors are not acceptable and are detrimental to customer experience. The focus of the remaining part of this presentation will be on how the communication industry and technology are evolving. What are the dynamics in providing services and its impact to customer experience, the challenges in managing this network, what type of tools are needed to manage these networks to deliver superior service. Also, we'll talk about a set of representative examples to understand how you can run your operations smoothly. As you know, broadband is everywhere these days. It has been around for several years, but it has some meaningful bandwidth now. So service providers can offer rich services beyond the traditional voice, video, and data. As a result of ubiquitous availability of broadband, the way we've communicated or communicating has change and changing and will continue to change. We all use several real-time and non-real-time methods of communicating. For example, email, IM, presence, voice, video, desktop sharing are all examples of these modes of communication. Enterprises have latched onto this trend and have begun to transform their telephony networks to take advantage of the flexibility and features of new service by adopting SIP trunking services, to take that as an example. Recognizing the movement in enterprises to move away from legacy technologies to newer technologies, and new types of service providers have also entered into this fray. Also, if you're a service provider and providing mobile services, the technology to deliver these services are also changing. One of the key technologies is diameter signaling. So what's the common factor for all of these? One of the common things across all of these changes, from an industry change and a technology change, is all of them utilize IP communications. IP is the common denominator. IP enables fast, dependable, real-time communication, information mobility, and the ability to exchange data from any device from anywhere. Let's take a typical classical communications infrastructure that's based on IP technology. Typically, you have several access points into the communication infrastructure. On the left-hand side are all the access points. Right in the middle is the service provider infrastructure. On the right-hand side, you'll find all the peering partners. This is a typical infrastructure that communication service providers use to deliver services, whether it be voice, video, or data. Our focus today will be mainly on the voice delivery as an example, but it equally applies to other service offerings, such as video and data. Let's take an example. A customer makes a phone call using a fixed line or 3G. If the called party happens to be in the same network, the call traverses the network in the middle, the communications infrastructure, and then hairpins back into one of the other access points because it's in the same network. If the called party belongs to a different network, it transits through one of the interconnect providers to reach the destination. So clearly, as you notice here, there are sort of two demarc points separating three domains. One is the access, one is the service provider's infrastructure, and the third one is the interconnect. There are essentially three parties involved here. So the communications infrastructure is IP-based. If it's not legacy TDM-based, if it's all IP-based, it is challenging to manage this network. The reason is there's performance issues within IP networks, such as QoS management, latency. All of these are present in terms of service delivery. Next, since all these three operate independently, from an administrative standpoint, data is not shared very well. This is another challenge for service providers in terms of service delivery. Let's talk about what the challenges are at a very high level for providers using IP communication networks. If you're focused on delivering superior customer experience, you have a number of challenges in maintaining that experience. One of them is the network itself, which is in full control of the communication service provider. Networks are perennially changing. Service providers add new subscribers, add new services, add new equipment, and make updates to it. And also, the load on the network varies throughout the day, throughout the week. So you have to be able to stay on top of these dynamics by using network information so that you can continually optimize the network and deliver better customer experience. As mentioned, there are multiple entities in delivering the service. One of them is a transit provider or interconnect provider. Clearly, service providers do not have visibility into their networks. So you need to understand where exactly a problem exists, if it does exist. Whether it's in the service provider space, is it in the interconnect provider space, or the over-the-top providers, or is it at the customer premise? Is that something you have to be able to understand? The next one is SLA. Several service providers provide SLA agreements. Failing to comply to an SLA has monetary implications. Service providers are on the hook to pay back the customers if SLAs are not met. And one of the challenges service providers face is the ability of their partners to deliver services on their behalf to a called party. So these are some of the broad challenges service providers face today. Let's look at some more specific challenges in managing some of these networks. Some of the key day-to-day challenges providers face is proactive monitoring. The ability to identify a problem before a customer can experience that problem is paramount. The tools that exist today, not all of them have this ability to provide proactive monitoring. Also, end-to-end intelligence. From the time a service enters the service provider network and leaves the network, you should be able to have that level of information so that you have end-to-end visibility. So this is another challenge providers face today. And many of the tools they currently use do not have real-time capability. We already talked about SLA. SLA management and tracking is also another key challenge for service providers. Key performance indicators, or KPIs. Several tools provide KPIs, but having a comprehensive set to be able to measure various aspects about services is also very critical. Ability to rapidly troubleshoot is also not always available in several tools. In many service provider environments, different teams operate on different pieces of tools to be able to monitor the network and troubleshoot. They operate in a very silo fashion. You want to be able to have a tool that will enable service providers so that all their teams use a single system to monitor, troubleshoot, and optimize their networks. And also, automation is key. There's a certain element of human involvement. As the network scales, it is not possible to scale the operations team. So the tools have to be able to provide a certain level of automation so that problems that are well known can be identified quickly. So these are some of the high level and very detailed operational challenges. So what should be the service provider's CX goals and needs? These service providers need to be able to measure customer experience in real time, have the intelligence to be able to troubleshoot quickly so that they don't breach their service levels. And ideally, do proactive monitoring so that the problem doesn't manifest into a customer experience issue. You can actually break these goals and needs based on some of the operational aspects. For example, Typically, service providers have various teams working to deliver services. Some of the typical organizational breakdown is there's a network operations team, a customer care team, and a management and marketing team. Some of the interest for network operations teams are basically understand real service quality, identify capacity and coverage requirements, optimize their network, ability to identify issues and solve them quickly. On the customer front, they want to be able to help the customers, the customer help desk personnel. They need to be able to help customers to identify their problems. Also, customer care should be able to figure out where to put the priority on, whether it should be a premium customer or not. And finally, on the marketing and management side, they want to be able to understand who's using services and how, so that they can provide new services to these customers. So as we discussed, real-time IP networks are dynamic. The challenges we discussed are of tall order. To solve these challenges, which are akin to real-time communications in IP networks, you need tools that help you divide and conquer the problem space. These tools should be able to provide you customer service teams to interact with end users such as individuals or enterprise customers with ease in identifying or resolving problems. On the inside, in your infrastructure itself, the operations teams need a set of capabilities to prevent and put out daily fires, and also help them plan for network capacity. As the number of subscribers grows and the network evolves as well. So a tool like Palladion, which provides end-to-end real-time intelligence or insight into your network, is oriented towards providing you a single tool to cover all your organizational needs. Some of the typical roles in a service provider are help desk personnel. They're responsible to interact with customers, log issues, try to figure out if the problem actually exists in the customer side of things or it's a network problem. Ability to translate that customer problem so that some of the operations team can look at the problem. Next, it's network engineers, network managers. They're responsible to manage the networks on a daily basis to make sure services are delivered as expected. As the network grows, it scales, the network planners and architects need to be able to understand how the network is being used on a regular basis so that they can recommend future purchases to scale the network so that service delivery is not affected and customer experience is not impacted at all. So you need a tool that addresses all these needs and all these roles within an organization so that at the end, all of them come together as a single team and are able to deliver quality services with unmatched customer experience. So there are several monitoring techniques in the marketplace. Service providers have resorted to various mechanisms over time. Some of the common ones are polling, active monitoring, and passive monitoring. In the past, polling was resorted where the tool would sweep entire networks and pull information and then provide information or visibility into the network. This type of approach is not scalable. It is very limited to device information only. It doesn't provide you the visibility across the network, across service very easily. It just doesn't lend itself for such a thing. And also, there's another method called active monitoring. It is used for a similar purpose, but it provides better information than polling, but they're all synthetic calls that are used to be able to understand how good the service is and how good the quality of service is, to measure customer experience, service quality, and so on. Passive monitoring is a mechanism that is non-intrusive. It collects all the data about services. It's a very highly scalable approach and can provide real-time capabilities. Let's take a quick look into passive deployment. For true real-time, end-to-end intelligence and for deep insight of customer service-related information, passive monitoring is the best approach. Let's take a typical example of how passive methods are deployed. This is a classic IMS architecture used for communications service delivery. Typically, it's two-layered architecture for passive monitoring. The first layer is ingrained into the network, where the probes are constantly or continuously receiving data from the network itself. And that data is forwarded to a central entity called the mediation engine, where the mediation engine correlates all the calls and provides intelligence of every service that goes through the network. This provides very deep, insightful information because the probes are able to capture every single packet. By that, you're able to go from a very high level of information, service level information, down deep to the packet level, so that you have the ability to quickly get to the information you're looking for. In some of the other solutions or approaches I mentioned, you do not have this ability. They provide you some insight, but not as deep an insight that passive monitoring can. Some of the capabilities of passive monitoring approach is proactive monitoring. Proactive monitoring typically involves some level of visualization, typically called dashboards. Another mechanism for proactive monitoring is alerts. By dashboarding, you have a visual cue on what's happening in the network so that you can react to that. And this is all live information. If you're not looking at it visually, if you'd rather be alerted, there's another mechanism called alerts or thresholds that you'll be able to configure so that you will receive when a certain condition occurs and you can react to it. So those are two methods of proactive monitoring, one visual and the other one non-visual. Baselining is another approach to monitor a network, see what the behavior is, and learn the behavior over time, and be able to present to you information that's deviating from your normal behavior. And also reporting helps in understanding what's happened in the last hour, week, maybe a month or a quarter. So these are typical capabilities of passive monitoring. In addition, reactive monitoring is also something that's very useful to understand finer-grained information to be able to drill down to specific regional or customer views, or looking at it end-to-end, or basically looking at it very deeply at the packet level. Some additional detailed capabilities for these types of solutions are ability to drill down from a high level to a very low level. Alerts, proactive monitoring as we discussed, reports as well, and historical data and trends. This is very useful for the marketing and management people to understand how services have been delivered in the past and be able to offer new services to customers. Also, live search for easy recognition of problems for a given customer. Comprehensive KPIs. All of these are detailed capabilities a typical passive monitoring solution provides. So in the next few slides, we'll take some examples of what these tools provide so that you are able to deliver services as expected and to basically deliver high quality customer experience. So passive monitoring solutions provide you ability to view your service delivery looking at various visual cues. It's referred to as a dashboard. Here you'll be able to see real-time information about how calls are coming in, how they're being delivered, what might potentially be a problem in your network. So as you noticed, there are several areas where you can customize so that you're able to get insight into the specific information that you're looking for. Another more specific example is looking at key performance indicators of how the sessions are delivered for a voice over IP service. Here in these charts, it gives you trends on how your network is delivering during peak hours and non-peak hours or holiday hours and so on. The fact that these charts are real-time, are able to give you indication of potential problems is very helpful so that you can react to these problems before your customer experiences it and logs a call into your customer support. So the dashboard and additional slides that we're going to discuss provide you that proactive information so that you can prevent any impact to your customer experience. Here's another example of that. Voice quality is always very important. Ability to recognize something's happening in the network that compromises delivery of good quality is paramount. If you have that information as the call is happening, you may have an opportunity to correct that. Here's an example of that. The tool we're discussing, which is Palladion, provides live, real-time, in-call voice quality. What I mean is, it can provide voice quality as two persons are speaking. You see the red and green blocks at the bottom of this slide. Green means good quality, red means not acceptable voice quality. Many solutions provide voice quality at the end of the call. So what happens is in this call, as we've depicted here, when voice quality is presented, the KPI for that call is calculated at the end of the call. It appears as a good call because the value of voice quality appears to be in acceptable range. But when you break it down to smaller fragments in 10 seconds or 20-second intervals, you notice there are red blocks here that essentially means the quality of the voice was not as good. So if quality is bad for 10 or 20 seconds, that's a good chunk of time not being able to understand that your network is not delivering proper quality to customers. That's sure is to have an impact on your customer experience if this repeats for the same customer. So the level of information you get from this tool is very, very fine, and this is the type of information that will help service providers to understand where they need to correct the problems. Here's another example of another proactive monitoring type chart. As we mentioned, there are three different areas: the customer side, which is the access, the service provider infrastructure, and partners who work with service providers to deliver outbound calls. Several service providers use interconnect providers who deliver services to other networks. Charts like this will help service providers understand how their partners are delivering their services. If for some reason availability of one of the partners is not as great, they can switch immediately to another provider. Having this level of real-time knowledge is very helpful in reducing the impact to your customers. We talked about proactive monitoring. We talked about dashboards, alerting, live charts. We'll talk a little more about rapid troubleshooting. If the problem lies within the service provider space, you want to be able to quickly get to the problem. So rapid troubleshooting is very critical. This is a chart that we refer to as a ladder diagram or a sequence diagram. It tells you the flow of how a call that came into the service provider's network and how it left the service provider's network and where the problem exists in an instant. If you click on a customer's call and then drill down probably 2 levels, you'll be able to see this view, and you can very, very quickly identify where the problem lies, just in a matter of a few clicks. That is referred to as rapid troubleshooting. Historically, service providers have relied on collecting information from various devices and then doing some level of manual correlation. Those types of solutions won't work, won't scale, involves a high degree of human involvement. The Palladion tool, within a matter of a couple of clicks, will help you identify the problem and enables service providers to perform rapid troubleshooting. Here's a testimonial from one of the customers here. They've reduced their troubleshooting time by a significant amount. Using traditional methods as opposed to using the Palladion tool, they were able to realize 90% gains in their troubleshooting process. And that's a significant saving for service providers in terms of time to troubleshoot. And also, from a customer experience standpoint, you will reduce the time that the customers are going to be experiencing a certain problem. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Andrea.
Thank you, Prasad. Let's have a quick summary of today's main ideas before we move to our Q&A session. Many customers have transactional interactions with their service providers. This type of interactions take place only when needed and mostly in a reactive mode. This is true both for interaction initiated by the customer and for those initiated by the service provider. Clients are anonymous. The service provider and its agent knows very little about the client, who has no attachment to the provider and may harm at any time. For the provider, the lifetime value of a disengaged customer does not increase with time. The introduction of true cross-channel experience, convergent applications, and more efficient processes can transform the disengaged customer to a frequent customer. The interaction with the service provider are not any longer a chore that needs to be done, and the customer becomes a frequent customer, as she perceives this interaction as a pleasant experience. To go to the next level, the service provider needs to deliver on their promises with efficient order fulfillment, accurate billing and charging, and the quality of service across all IP networks. The customer then becomes a satisfied customer, happy with the provider's services and interactions. To further engage the customers, the service provider needs to deliver to the client a customer-centric, personalized experience, satisfying the client's specific needs through customizable offers, direct and proactive notification, individually targeted campaigns and offers, and personable interactions. The personalized engagement turns the satisfied client into a brand advocate who is not only loyal to the brand, but also eager to share her experience with her circle of influence. As we have seen in today's webinar, CX is a journey with multiple touch points across the purchasing and usage experiences. The goal of a service provider must be to ensure that the customer interaction across all touch points in the infinity loop are positive and to deliver the kind of experience that the specific customer wants. It is critical for the service providers to take a holistic approach to CX, because only engaging the interaction across both the buy and own part of the customer lifecycle can deliver a superior experience to their customers. Oracle, with its comprehensive concept-to-cash solution offering, helps service providers to efficiently enable seamless cross-channel purchase and service experiences, to timely bring to market the offers their customers are seeking, to accurately deliver orders, bills, and charges to their customer through convergent applications, and to engage their customer with personalized and proactive interactions based on individual insights. Oracle Acme packets, Palladions, enable service providers in all IP networks to deliver a superior usage experience to their customer, as it will quickly identify customer issues by efficiently monitoring the IP networks, rapidly respond to poor service experiences by proactively reaching out to customers, and efficiently deliver superior services by optimizing IP networks. If you would like to find out more about what Oracle Communications can offer to improve your customer experience, please visit the Oracle Communication or Acme Packet website or directly contact Prasad or myself. This concludes our presentation. Back to you, Jesse.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Renuka. We're now ready to open the floor for your questions. As a reminder, to participate in our Q&A, just type your question in the Q&A text area and then click the Submit button.
This first question here is going to be for Andrea. Do the Oracle concept to cash solutions apply only to a specific industry segment?
Well, Oracle concept to cash solutions are not restricted to a specific industry vertical such as mobile, broadband, or cable and satellite. These solutions are actually not restricted to the communication industry per se. We have several clients outside the communication industry. Just to mention a few, M2M clients includes Verizon Telematics, including which is former Hughes Telematics, and OnStar. Cloud providers include Colt, Melbourne IT, Intuit, Rackspace. Other clients outside communications include LexisNexis, Serasa Experian, Cisco, Dell. Our communication customers spans across all vertical size and geographies, from Vodafone to Cellcom, from Charter Communication to Televisa, from KT to Sasktel, from Telecom Malaysia to France Telecom.
Excellent, excellent. Here's a question for you, Renuka. How widely are passive monitoring solutions deployed by communication service providers?
Yes, passive monitoring solutions have been in use for several years now. Several of the CSPs have deployed passive monitoring solutions for greater visibility into their network to monitor, troubleshoot, and optimize service delivery. But our experience is that some of the existing legacy passive monitoring solutions have not met the expectations of CSPs. With converged services, big data, and heightened emphasis on customer experience, the need for passive monitoring solutions is far greater than before. CSPs who are looking to provide their customers a superior service experience should invest in passive monitoring solutions to prevent potential problems before they occur and affect customer experience, and also for rapid problem resolution, continuous assessment of the networks to optimize the network for unmatched service delivery. Oracle Acme Packet provides compelling solutions to address CSP needs for customer-centric service delivery. As discussed in this webinar, there are a variety of Oracle products such as Rodard, RSTARD, Palladion, and others that meet CSP's objectives for top-notch customer experience.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of our time. On behalf of Pipeline Magazine, I'd like to thank Andrea and Renuka from Oracle Communications for sharing their valuable insight, and I'd like to thank all attendees for their time and participation in today's KnowledgeCast webinar. Have a great day.